The sun shines bright as it moves across my face. I feel the light and everything is in its place. Oh, I woke up feeling great. Today was made for me, and life is good the way it should, the way it was meant to be. And it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. The wind is blowing, the bells are ringing, children playing in the park while birds are singing. I am walking, and I am laughing, Life is perfect, I'm not trying, it's just happening. And it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day.
Everybody, welcome out for another live session here, and hope you guys had a great week.
The sun shines bright
here as everybody files
as
in.
it moves across my face. I feel the light.
Put something in the chat just to say hello.
And everything is in its place.
Starting in just a minute. Today we're
I
going to be
woke
talking
up feeling
about how
great.
you can run
Today
ads
was made for me, and life is good the way it should, the way it was meant to be. And it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day.
Sorry about that, guys. For some reason, the song started playing again. But we'll be getting started in just a second. So again, and it looks like, yeah. So I see our good buddies at Controller Game Lounge finally made it. Well, just so you know, and I'm assuming it's Tiffany on there. So Tiffany, if you want to watch any of the past ones, if you go back to the actual channel, all the past ones that we've done, this is the fourth one in this new series. So any of the other three you can get access to just by dropping back onto the page there, and it'll show the past live videos that we've done. And again, our internet seems to be having little bits of streaming issues here. I see myself kind of jumpy a little bit in here, so hopefully it'll play out okay. The sound should be okay, and since we'll be showing websites for most of it, we should be good. But it is saying that, you see it's saying they're having a performance issue. So this is the internet that we pay all this money for that's causing all these problems. So in any case, all right. So as we move on here, we're going to be talking again, as I said, about how you can actually run your ads on television without spending a ton of money. Now, for those of you who have ever, been around for a while, if you've done business for a while, if you've ever tried to do advertising on television, you'll know that it can be an absolute pain in the neck. And the main reason it's a pain in the neck is because, one, it's very expensive, and two, you often have to go through different cable systems or different TV different TV stations. So if you want to be on the news and one channel, then you've got to also contact the other channel if you want to be on theirs. And then you got to contact the other channel if you want to be on theirs. And if you want to be on Comcast, then you got to contact Comcast to run ads. And if you want to be on this cable companies, then you got to do that as well. And it can be a real pain to navigate, which is why ad managers exist. And of course, now you've got an ad manager that you got to pay on top of all of the different things that you're trying to do there. So they'll manage all the craziness, but your prices will go up because you'll be paying the ad manager a portion of what you're doing there for them to do all of that hassle for you. Well, what we're going to be talking about today is how you can actually do the same thing, run TV ads without having to go through any of those cable companies, which, by the way, most of the people are DVRing and skipping your ads anyway. So even though they may show good numbers of people watching a show, good possibility they're skipping your ads. What we're going to talk about today, one of the great things is they can't skip your ads. And they have to actually watch the ads or you're not charged. And we'll talk about why that works there. And you're welcome, Tiffany. All right, so let me pop on over here. I'm going to throw up my screen here for 1 second. There we go. So in case you haven't figured it out yet from the things that we sent out, the system that we're actually going to be talking about is one called Hulu. For those of you not familiar with Hulu, Hulu is what do they call an over-the-top OTT network. And what that means is it's just like Netflix or Peacock and any of those other ones that you might subscribe to and use. Now, here's the kind of interesting thing. When it comes to Peacock, they are supposed to be, I've signed up for it, haven't heard anything back from them yet. They are supposed to be implementing a very, very similar program for Peacock as you have with Hulu. Now, you'll also notice with the Hulu thing up at the top here that it says Disney Campaign Manager. That D is for Disney there because Disney now wholly owns Hulu. And the rumor is, and this rumor's been around a while, it hasn't happened yet, so who knows when and if it's going to happen, but the big rumor is that at some point in time, the Hulu and Disney Plus are going to kind of merge together, and that in your actual Disney account, if you got a Disney Plus account, you will see that you can now access Hulu stuff from in there. But as far as advertising goes, it's probably only a matter of time, supposedly, where that's going to work together and you'll be able to run your advertisements not only on Hulu, but you'll be able to run your TV ads on something like Disney Plus and ESPN Plus, hopefully. And that'll make life a whole lot easier and give you more reach with the things that you're doing. Will it cost more? It may. We'll have to wait and see. But it certainly would be a much better situation for local businesses to be able to conquer all of those. So what I want to do here is I want to show you a little bit of how this works. And I'm going to go to, a fake account here that we haven't done anything with yet. And the reason I'll do this is just to protect the innocent and their numbers. But we'll kind of show you the back end of this, and we'll talk about some of the things that you need to know in order to run any kind of advertising on something like Hulu. The biggest thing that you need to know is that you'll need an ad. And that, of course, is probably going to be the biggest obstacle for anybody doing this is you'll need to have some sort of 30-second ad that you can run. If you're a business that's been around a while, you may already have this. For instance, when we work with lawyers, when we work with car dealerships, most of them have run a TV commercial at some point in time, and we can reuse what they've already done. Just make sure that it fits the format that we need, get it onto here, and we can run an ad very quickly. If you are like, for instance, Tiffany, Controller Game Lounge, for those of you who don't know Controller Game Lounge, they are an awesome place here in Loganville that you can go in and you can play modern video games, a little bit of retro video games, play a little table hockey and giant chess boards and all that kind of fun stuff. It's a fun place to be, fun place to have parties. So if Tiffany wanted to run a TV ad, typically she would first of all have to, pull up to the bank and get a big bag full of money to be ready for doing this. She would have to talk to the different cable companies. She would have to talk to the different TV companies, get the video produced, and then have it distributed to all of those different places. Usually, well, nowadays most of them is digital. In the old days, we used to literally have to take a tape and mail it around. We would have to get FedEx, or we actually used a local courier service that you would call. They would literally come over, grab it, and take it over for you right then and there. Boy, what a pain in the neck that was. And again, you didn't have any confirmation really at that point that your tape arrived where it was supposed to, and do they take that format of tape? And it was a real mess. Now, fortunately, in most of those even you can upload it digitally, but there's a lot of downsides to that. With Hulu, they've actually taken the experience of doing TV advertising and they have made it as simple as running an ad on Google. So, and the prices, by the way, are very similar as far as that goes. You don't need to have a $10,000 budget. You don't need to have a $20,000 budget in order to do that. So you can see here, this is kind of their main page, which you can go to. It's in fact, I'll put it in the chat here. This is kind of an information page that they give that you can actually go to, and if it'll post it for me, which doesn't look like it wants to post for me for some reason. Hold on here. Let me cut this down. But this will allow you to kind of see some of the information that you'll need in order to run an ad on here. Biggest things that you'll need to run an ad on here are obviously, like we said, your commercial, but you'll need to know how to format the things properly. You've got to have the right style of video. And when I say that, style is not quite the right word. You've got to have it, it's got to be the right frame rates. It's got to be the right size. It's got to be the right length. It has to be exactly 30 seconds. We ran into an issue one time where I couldn't figure out why they kept rejecting this one video. And when I looked at it, I finally pulled it and looked at it closely, and it was 30 seconds and one frame. So, I mean, in other words, 1/30th of a second past 30 seconds, and it was failing. So you want to make sure it is exactly 30 seconds on the button, or you could have issues with that. As I said, it is the Disney Campaign Manager now instead of the Hulu Ad Manager. And you can see they do mention National Geographic and different things on here, but they do a lot of different types of advertising. And the type of advertising that we as small business owners are going to be doing are what they call their self-serve system. And not all of their programming uses the self-serve system. Hulu 100% does. And that's what we love about this. But again, you can come to that page that I linked here. You can learn a lot more about the different things. Like you see here, 109 million monthly U.S. viewers. Again, this is for the U.S. Hulu is in Canada to an extent, and people I know do use it in England. I've talked to some people in England that say they do get it there, but it is very, very small compared to the U.S. But 109 million monthly users, which is really, really good. And that, by the way, is ad-supported users. So this does not include the people that pay extra to not have ads. Now, I used to pay extra to not have ads. I actually shut that off because I wanted to see the ads. When I got into this, I was so interested in the advertising that I actually turned that off and actually suffer through all these ads just because I wanted to see who's advertising. Is anybody locally advertising? And the reality is, even right now, and we've been helping businesses do this for a couple of years, even right now, if you watch Hulu, very few local businesses are running ads. In fact, most of the time, the ads that I do see that are local are ones that I'm running. And a lot of times it's all Hyundai and Ford and Pepsi and Coke and things like that. And I say Hyundai because they use them a lot in their examples, or at least they used to, because Hyundai does do a lot with that. But you can learn a lot more here. You can sign up for it here. Now, the thing about this, they've made this a lot easier. A couple of years ago, when I would teach people how to use Hulu and how to sign up for the ad manager, you were kind of signing up for a beta program. And if you didn't answer things very specifically, they would reject you. And they wouldn't reject you because they didn't want you. They would reject you with like, oh, yeah, we're not quite ready for that yet, so check back with us. So you had to answer it very carefully. Nowadays, you fill this out, you should have an answer back very quickly, and they should definitely get you in there. I haven't really talked to anybody in a long time that has had an issue with signing up for it. In the old days, if you said, oh, I'm an agency, for instance, because that's who we were dealing with small agencies, they would reject you immediately, not because they didn't want you, but because they would say, well, we're not quite ready with the agency model yet. They have the agency model up and running now, but they were getting business owners to sign up. So you just had to go in and sign up as an owner. Now you should be good with any setup here. It should not give you much of an issue at all. Okay. But again, if you look on here, you'll see that they've got different things in here. They've got their resources. They've got some news and events, so new things that they're doing. So you can always check on this to kind of see what's going on. 4,200 brands and 1,000 agencies onto the Disney self-service platform. Things like that. They've got a creative hub here, so you can look at different things in here, your creative checklist. And most importantly, by the way, I'll show you the creative checklist here. This kind of gives you an idea of kind of what you need. And then the other thing here are the tech specs. This is really, really important. And the reason is because they can reject you for a bunch of different reasons. It could be your video is not the right length. It could be it's not the right bit rate. It could be that the audio isn't the way they like it. Lots of different reasons. The actual format you sent it to them isn't correct. So you definitely want to pay attention to this. And again, it's going to seem like gibberish at first, but once you learn how to do it once, you can set these things as a preset inside whatever video tools you use, or you can work with somebody like me who does all that for you and you don't have to deal with it. Tiffany asks if you should use your legal business name or the DBA. I don't think they're going to care either way. I believe we just did it with the DBAs when we were setting it up, so I don't think they're going to care so much about that. It's not like some of the other programs out there where they want your business license and they want they're not. If you're looking to run an ad and you're looking to pay money to run an ad, they'll pretty much let you in. So the DBA should be fine. If it gives you issue, you can always go back and you can do it the other way. But I believe if you saw like the one that we have up here now, this is definitely a DBA, and some of the other ones are as well. So that shouldn't be a problem at all. All right. So again, this is the big thing here. I can get into this a little bit. You may get totally lost on that. But let me at least run through it quickly here. So when you create a video, and we'll talk a little bit about the commercial you should create because that's a really important factor too. But when you create a commercial, they want 8 or 16 bits depth, okay? And they want 16 or 24-bit audio. And they want 2-channel audio for that. So this is something that if you're getting a video created, let's say you've hired a video company to make a commercial for you, they'll be able to do this for you without even thinking twice about it. If you're going to create your own commercial and you need to export it at the end, this is what you would need to follow. And again, it may be tough to follow it at that first time, but once you figure it out, it's not going to be tough. So again, 8 or 16 bits. Typically, if you're using a video editor right now, and you were to open up Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro or any of those, they're going to be at 8, and that's perfectly fine. They're going to probably be at 24-bit for the audio, again, perfectly fine. Now the bit rate, this is where it gets interesting because they want between 10 and 40 megabits per second, which is a fairly large file size. So typically when you export a video to put onto YouTube or something like that, it's going to be lower than this. So if you export like you normally would for YouTube, they're going to reject it because the bit rate's going to be too low. So in your video editor, again, if you're working with somebody, they'll take care of all this. Don't worry about it too much. But in your video editor, when you go to export, and I can show you some of that in a minute here as well, you want to make sure that you set it up as 10 to 40 megabits per second, and then 192 to 256 kilobits on the audio. Most of the time, this is in the default settings anyway. And they want 2-channel audio, so you don't want to have surround sound if your system does that. Now, when it says here 2-channel stereo, it can be dual mono that plays as stereo, so that both sides are the same. So you can do technically either one. Now down here, chroma subsampling. Don't worry too much about this. When you export your video, it's going to be one of these. Well, it may not be one of these two. It may be better than one of these two, but this is the compression ratio for your colors. And so in digital video, one of the ways that they make a big giant video file into a smaller video file is by compressing the colors. And the two formats are 420, 422. 420 typically was something that was used in Europe, and 422 was something that was typically used in the United States and Japan. And 422 has kind of become the standard everywhere now. Again, don't worry too much about that. That's going to be kind of default stuff for you at this point. The codec, the ones that they like, are Apple ProRes 422 HQ. So if you're using something like Final Cut Pro, you're going to have that built in there. If you got Adobe Premiere, you may or may not. You may need to convert it to that. But they'll also take H.264, which is a high-quality compression system. So most of the stuff that you export now probably is in H.264, and that's the codec that you'd want to use for that. Again, I can show you a little bit about that in a minute. YUV color space, don't worry too much about that. That's going to be normal. They want it to be 1920 by 1080 or 1280 by 720, which are HD formats. They don't want 4K, they don't want 8K, and they don't want standard definition, which nobody even makes anymore. So make sure it is widescreen, 1920 by 1080 or 1280 by 720. I always go with 1920 by 1080. It's the more popular format. It's the more standardized format in this day and age. So if your video editor says HD, it's most likely going to be 1920 by 1080 by default. So just keep it as that. Then again, down here, 16 by 9, which is silly to say. If it's 1920 by 1080, it's already 16 by 9. They're not going to go with any of these funky formats here. Don't worry about that again. If you set it up as this, you're going to be good. And again, all of this stuff here, you would have to go in and make those changes to make it not work. So don't even worry about them. If you set it up as a standard 1920, all of this will come in perfectly fine. Duration can be 15 or 30 seconds. Again, must be exactly those times. 15 seconds or 30 seconds on the button. I like to do 30 seconds. That's what I do, but you can do 15, and in some cases it may make sense to do 15. If you don't have a lot of content to make a commercial with and you want to just have information, you may want to keep it a little shorter and do a 15-second, and that's fine. MOV or MP4 formats are the two formats of the file that you want to have. So when you export, if you're using a Windows-based computer or Adobe Premiere, you may want to export it as a .mp4. If you're using Final Cut Pro or iMovie or something like that, .mov will work for that, or .mp4, either one. Some of those other ones will have .mov as well. File size total should be 10 gigabytes or less. If you're following the other standards, a 30-second commercial should never be 10 gigabytes, so you should be perfectly fine there. Format here, QuickTime MOV or MPEG-4. Again, that's kind of what we talked about earlier, same thing. Now the frame rate, this is one thing you do have to pay attention to as well, is the frame rate of this. So your video that you create needs to be one of these, 23.98, which is basically an NTSC version of 24 frames per second, 25 frames per second, which is a European traditional standard size, and 29.97 and 30 frames per second are basically the same thing. It's just in old TV speak, the 23.98 and the 29.97 was used so that they could add color to the old black and white spectrums. And so they had to change from 30 seconds to 29.97. But you don't need to know any of that. 30 seconds or 24 seconds are the two that you're probably going to use. Stick with those and you should be perfectly fine. Okay, constant frame rate mode, again, that's going to be by default. Don't worry about that. And progressive scan, what that basically means is this day and age shouldn't make a difference at all. We used to have what is called interlaced video. So our old televisions used something called interlacing, which is why if you remember, if you're old enough to remember this, back in the day when you see one of those things for an as seen on TV commercial, and at the end they would put up that screen with the graphics on it there, and they'd have the call this number, and sometimes you'd hear like a buzzing, and the graphic would look like it's kind of jittering a little bit. That was because you weren't seeing an entire image at a time. You were seeing half an image and half an image back and forth really quickly. And sometimes on modern TVs, if you watch some of those old things, you may see things that look like they're off a little bit. Like, you'll look at the edges of something and it'll look like a comb. You'll see like lines that kind of stick out. It's because it captured something that was not progressive. It was interlaced, but they froze it and played it on a progressive TV. Progressive is all you need to know these days. And again, you're not even going to deal with that 99.9% of the time. You won't even see the interlaced stuff, so don't even worry about it. But again, if you use somebody to help you do all this stuff, none of this will matter. You won't have to worry about it at all. It'll be done for you. But it is important that you kind of understand some of these things, because your videos will not work if you don't have that, okay? And again, go to the creative checklist to kind of look over the things that they want from you here, and that'll help you out. So you can see, are you telling a compelling story, blah, blah, blah. So that'll help you out with that. Now, to look at the actual program here, once you sign up, you'll be taken to an actual campaign manager. In this case here, I've pulled up this one here. And so what we do now is we need to create a campaign, which is actually pretty easy to do. You come in here, your campaign name, we're just going to call it test because this is not real. And the good thing is I don't even have to upload a video to create a campaign. You can create a campaign and add a video later because we're not going to have a video for this, so it doesn't matter. Next, you get to come in here. You can choose your date range. Now, this is something very interesting to pay attention to because this is something that they changed, which is why we're able to do what we do now. So back in the day, when Hulu first came up with this, you actually had to commit to pay $20,000 in advertising, which, I don't know, any guys on here now, do you have $20,000 to commit to advertising right now for just your TV commercial? That doesn't include any other advertising you do. Most businesses I talked to certainly didn't, and that's why originally Hulu kind of failed at this. One day, out of the blue, I went in because I was still teaching this because we were working with businesses that were bigger and they could afford to commit to $20,000. Again, you didn't have to give Hulu $20,000. You had to commit to do $20,000 in advertising. That could be spread out over a month, a week, a year, whatever you wanted, but you had to commit to pay $20,000 in advertising. They changed that one day, which is when I got really excited, to $500. So all you have to commit to, when you create a campaign, you're committing to do at least $500 in advertising. But here's the dirty little secret. I've canceled things earlier where we only did $200 and nobody came to my door looking for an extra $300. They didn't care. But you're committing to the $300. But we've shut campaigns down for whatever reason. And now typically we've shut the campaign down to start a different campaign, so it added up in the end. But point being is they say it's $500, but just know that they're not going to collect $500 from you today. They're going to collect $500 from you over time as your ads play. So at the end of the month, they'll charge you for whatever you use that month. Or if you reach a certain threshold during the month, they'll charge you when you reach that threshold. So either way, they're going to either charge you in the middle of the month because you reached a certain amount, and it might be $200 or $250. I can't remember what it might be. $50. I don't recall what the amount is. But if not, they'll charge you at the end of the month. But either way, you're never going to be charged more than what you've committed to. So for me, you can always extend a campaign. You can always recreate a campaign afterwards. So if you don't want to commit yourself to a big number, you can commit yourself to the lower number, the $500, and then add to it if you wanted to do more. Okay. And I'll show you how you can do that as well. But going back to this here, so inside here, you're going to choose your start date. So if we wanted to start, well, it probably won't let us start today, so we'll have to choose tomorrow. If we wanted to start tomorrow and we wanted to commit to 3 months, so August, September, and October. So let's go to October, and today is the 12th, so we'll do the same thing here. Let's go to October 12th. Okay, and that'll set it up there. Now we can choose our budget here. Now again, right here it says enter a budget of at least $500 and we'll estimate the number of impressions. Now be aware, Hulu Advertising is here to make money. So if you put in $500, it's going to probably tell you that you're not spending enough money. So like it says here, the campaign estimates to deliver 327 daily impressions on average, but may fluctuate over the course of the campaign. We recommend deliver 1,000 average, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the reason it's saying this is right now we're committing to $500 over 3 months. So it's going to stretch that $500 over 3 months. That's a pretty low amount of money. What we typically do is, on a lot of our clients, we do, for the small businesses anyway, we do the 3 months, but we'll do $1,500. They'll probably still complain a little bit. Who knows? We'll see here. Yeah. So they're saying we should spend $1,525. I mean, come on. That's perfectly fine. And again, depending on the town you live in, it may not matter as much. You may not need to spend as much money, because here's the way this is going to work. It's going to deliver the same number of ads no matter where you live. So right here you can see our budget of $1,500, and I know this is pretty small, is going to give us 60,000 impressions. Okay? So if we were to advertise in our town here, and Tiffany's in our town as well, and maybe some of you, some others that are on here are in our town as well. Our town is about 14,000 people. So if she was to only advertise in Loganville, she'd be advertising not to 14,000 people, because half of those are children, okay? She'd be advertising to whatever number of households subscribe to Hulu in the Loganville area. So let's say there's 3,000. So she's going to be advertising to 3,000 with 60,000 impressions. So what that means is those 3,000 people are going to get that over and over and over and over and over. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. But just know that that's how it works. So when they say, oh, gee, 1,500 might be a little bit low, just know that in this case, it's probably not, because you're already going to be showing this ad to people over and over and over again and getting it into their heads. And again, that's a good thing. And I'll talk about that in a minute, why that's a good thing. But that's definitely a helpful thing. All right, but we're going to stick, let's even go to 1525, because it's such a tiny amount difference. We'll just put it in there anyway. Okay, so now it's going to get us 61,000 impressions. Now, just so you guys understand, an impression is a view. Okay, so in some other programs, an impression might be, for instance, if you're talking about Google Ads, an impression would be every time your website shows up in a search. That's an impression. Okay. An impression in Hulu is better than that. It means somebody actually watched your commercial. And by the way, it means they watched it from beginning to end. Now, they may have left the room to go get popcorn and it ran in the background. That's always a possibility, but it will actually run that commercial. You cannot skip commercials on Hulu. You have to watch it. And if somebody even turns the TV off halfway through your commercial, that does not count. They will cancel that one and it will not count as an impression. So you'll get 61,000 views of that video. And by the way, one other thing that's great about this is because this is based off of not only phones and iPads and things like that and computers, it works on your TV and your living room TV. So if there's 3 people watching there, that one impression might be seen by 3, 4, 5 people, whoever's watching TV. It may not be one person alone. So these impressions can actually get to a lot more eyeballs than you might think, okay? Now down here they do have where you can change this to cost per mil, okay? But we usually leave it on cost per view. It's just, to me, that's the best way to do that. Now coming down here, we haven't targeted anything yet, so we don't have any estimates yet, but we do have how many impressions. So now let's hit next. And in here, this is where the magic really happens. You get to choose where you want to run this ad. Now, why is this good? This is good because if you think about what we talked about earlier, TV advertising, cable advertising. In this area where we live, where Tiffany and I happen to be, you've got multiple cable systems, and the cable system that you choose may not cover your entire area. So for instance, I believe it's a Comcast. In our area, it kind of like splits our area in half. So if you want to run an ad on Comcast, you're going to be paying 2 different areas just in Comcast to cover our area because of the way that it splits out. So you'd be paying the area that covers a bunch of places to the north and a bunch of places to the south. You may not want to even advertise to those folks because people from Covington may not come up here to go to Controller Game Lounge. It might be too far away for them. You'd be paying to advertise to those people that are way down there, or people all the way up in Winder may not want to come down here to do Controller Game Lounge. I'm sure people probably do, but you'd be advertising to all those people that are further away versus right in the area. And again, now you got to do that with the TV stations as well and the other other cable companies to be able to cover these areas. And that's going to get real annoying and real expensive very quickly, okay? But this here, you can choose just like you would running a Facebook ad or a Google ad. You can choose zip codes, you can choose city, state, or whatever DMA you want. Now, you can do all 50 states if you want. So you could advertise, if you're a business on here right now and you're not a traditional local business and you've got ads you want to run across the whole country, you can do that right from here. You can run in every single state. Here in Georgia, you could come in and you could choose just to do Georgia, okay? And you could run it across the entire state. Just like that, boom. Now that's a lot of people you're going to be hitting. And again, if you're a local business, might be too much for you. So just be aware of that. And if you don't like it, you can always get rid of it. Okay, so if I wanted to do my area here, Let's say I was running one for Tiffany, so she's going to want to have Loganville, Georgia, for sure, right? And there it is. But she's probably also going to want to do Snellville. Okay, and there's Snellville. And she's probably going to want to do Grayson. Okay, and there's Grayson. And so that's how easy it is to add these. So you can see the three are right here. And you can add as many of these as you need to. Now, the other thing you could do, let's say that we're worried that people in Winder are a little too far away. We want to make sure that we don't get those people. So we can choose Winder, Georgia, and exclude them. Okay, and so now it's going to go out of its way to not show the ads to people in Winder, Georgia. Okay, and you can also do this by zip code, because if you've got areas that are smaller, for instance, around here we've got a little city called Jersey, and I believe, if I remember correctly, if you put in Jersey, oh no, it actually does show up. There's a couple of them in here that don't show up though. You can actually do it by zip code, and a lot of those smaller cities, for instance, some of the smaller ones around Loganville, they use our Loganville zip code, 30052, but they don't show up in a lot of the advertising things. So if you put the zip code, it'll cover some of those smaller towns that don't always show up in these systems, and that can be a big help there, okay? All right, so now we've got the people that we want to target with this, so we can hit done. You can see we got 4 included and 1 excluded. All right, so you can see here now it's saying estimated daily impressions. They're saying that, there's not enough people in the area. And that's, that to me is fine, because again, we're going to hit them multiple times, but it's just warning you. They're like, hey, there's not that many people. So you can add more to that, okay? So we're going to hit next. And now we can choose the age that we want to hit. So for instance, let's say with Tiffany's thing, she knows that people 50 and over, they're not going to come play. Now, being an escape room owner, I know that a lot of times the 50-plus-year-olds, the grandparents, are the ones who are setting these things up and bringing the kids. So realistically, you probably would want to target them. But for the case of just setting this up here, let's say we cut out the 50-plus, and the 18 to 24s, 25 to 30s, and 35 to 49s are fine. And by the way, again, because of the nature of Hulu, you'll still be hitting some of these people here. What you're targeting to is the people that own the accounts. Okay, so in my household, for instance, my mother-in-law lives with us, so she would be 50 plus. She would be seeing these ads, but we would be targeting my account, okay, here. But she'd be seeing it because she happens to be there and using the account. So you will still get more people, but just remember that, okay? Now, you can also choose females and males. In the case of most businesses, it's probably going to be all, but if you are a specifically women's shoe shop, you may have a commercial that targets women, and you can choose just women, okay? If maybe you do something that targets just males, you can do the same thing there. We're going to hit next. And now this is where we can do some of the audience targeting. Now, this is something that's kind of new. So if you've watched any of my trainings in the past that I've done on this, this is something that was not in there because this is something fairly new. They have 2 different data sources. One is from Disney themselves, Disney Select, and one is from a third party. You can use either one. The differences are going to be as you go through some of these, you're going to see as you select the audiences here, some of these things in here might be slightly different. They may word them different, things like that. But basically, you're getting a lot of the same data. I usually use the Disney Select. I've tried both. You can use either one. It doesn't really matter too much, okay? So we're going to use the Disney Select, and now we can select our audiences. So here, you can see there's a lot of different things, and what you'll find is they're a little wacky sometimes. Like, for instance, they've got automotive, people that drive EV autos, people that drive hybrid autos, luxury auto shoppers, recent car buyers. Now, this is great because you may be running ads to target these people to buy a car or what have you, but it's one of the few industries that's actually in here. So it's kind of funny that, and granted, car dealers do a lot of advertising, so it makes sense they'd be one of the first ones, but one of the only ones, okay? Automotive prospects, auto care visitors, recent visit to dealership, SUV lovers, okay? So if you had something that targets these specific things, you could do that. You've got beverages here, okay, and beauty stuff. So this would be where you can do all of that kind of stuff. Fandom. So this, in the case of if we're making one again for Tiffany and Controller Game Lounge, you could come in here and you could choose different things here. A lot of people that like action and sports are probably going to come in. So let's choose that. Why not, right? I bet you they probably like basketball. So you can come in. You can do NBA fans, okay? NCAA fans, WNBA fans, whatever it happens to be. Now, I know Tiffany has things like, I've been in there and played the UFC game and stuff, but maybe, one of the boxing games is really popular or could be really popular. So you could choose boxing fans. Entertainment genres, reality and game shows, if that made sense. Football. Okay, not golf, football. Come on. All right, Hulu, what are you doing to me here? There we go, football. So you could choose any of these. And again, that's your fandom stuff there. Now, finance, if you were going after something financial, if you're an insurance company, if you're a financial advisor, you'd want to go in and look at some of the things in there. Okay. Interests. So again, this would be targeting what people are interested in. So again, with Tiffany, this could be very interesting for Controller Game Lounge. What are they interested in? Well, technology. Are they into computer brand loyalists, mobile phone brand loyalists, TV brand loyalists? Maybe that doesn't quite fit in there because it's more of a buying thing there. But sports enthusiasts might be somebody. Lifestyle. Is there anything in there that makes sense? Adventure seekers, maybe. I know we use the adventure seekers for our videos that we've done in here for the escape room. And choose any of that kind of stuff. Now, media, entertainment, and gaming. Well, now that sounds like it would fit right in, doesn't it? Gaming preferences. They're console owners, maybe. Whoop. Oh, I'm choosing too many audiences. Yeah, I'm starting to get a little crazy with these. So here's the beauty of this. We can get rid of some of these so that we can look at the rest of them. I am choosing a lot. Okay, so let's go back in here, and we'll go back to our media and entertainment and gaming. Oops. So again, you can go after the console owners. FPS gamers would probably like that, and sports gamers would like it too. Okay. Yeah. If they're streamers, I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Traditional media consumers, blah blah blah. That doesn't make any sense for them there. Now you got your psychographics here, the shopping preferences. Probably wouldn't affect that. Restaurants obviously aren't going to affect Tiffany there. Retail and apparel, she sells a few things maybe, but probably not. And then travel and leisure potentially could be. I think because we use like amusement park visitors, so that might be a group that you'd want to get because they may be the same groups that would come and play there. Travel behavior, frequent travelers, et cetera, et cetera. So once you set that up, now we've got a bunch of different things. Now over here you can see that we've lowered our impressions a little bit here because of the changes that we've made here. Okay, but we're still getting a cost per view of about 3 cents, which is awesome. That's what we want to target. That's what I always target is 3 cents or less, and that includes on YouTube when I do YouTube advertising as well. We want to get cost per view of about 3 cents or less there. Daily impressions, and again, they're complaining that it's a little bit low. Okay, so saying, oh, maybe we should go back up to 1,800 now, and that's because we've limited who we're talking to by doing some of this. And as we change some of this, those numbers may change a little bit as well. Okay. So coming down here, you can see all the different things that we've done. And now we're going to hit next on this. And now we can target our platforms. So you can choose, do you want the living room, the mobile, the computer? Do you want all of them? What do you want? So this will take off the computers and the mobile. And some of our clients only want the living room. They only want it to show up on their big screen TVs, and that's how you do that. Just turn that on there. But maybe they want it on their computers as well, and maybe they want it on mobile. All up to you on that. And that's going to change your numbers again too, and you can see them change if I turn these off here, see what we get on that. Should change that number. Yeah, it dropped it down to 718. Okay. So we're going to hit next. So now you can choose the type of content you want to run your ads on. So before, we were targeting people based on, their buying habits and things like that. Now, you've got to do a little bit of thinking here. All right, who is my audience and what are they going to be watching on Hulu? So you come in here and you can choose the different genres. Are they likely to be watching comedies? I would say they definitely would be watching comedies. I bet you for Tiffany's things, I bet you people that watch anime are probably big gamers. Okay, action and adventure, kind of. I know for the escape room we use that. Animation and cartoons, that might be the same crowd there, younger crowd. So come down here. Do they like television about drama or food, health and wellness, horror and suspense, probably. Lifestyle, maybe not. International, maybe not. Music, maybe. News and information, nah, they're busy playing video games. They don't care about that stuff, right? Reality and game shows, perhaps. Sci-fi, probably. Sports, probably. And, of course, content specifically about video games, I would say that would definitely be ones that you'd want to hit. And so what that does is this allows them to know, where do we want to run this ad that you've created? Oh, we're going to run it on Comedy Central. We're going to run it on the Cartoon Network. We're going to run it on Sci-Fi. We're going to run it on MTV. We're going to run it on whatever else. And not just channels, but also programming too. So they're going to say, oh, USA Network has reality and game shows, so we'll run it on a reality show or a game show that's running on USA Network, as opposed to a movie from the 50s that they're running another time. They probably won't run your ad on USA at that time, but they will run it when the content matches up. So that's something that, again, on traditional television, you're not getting that kind of targeting. They're going to run it on whatever station at whatever time, and that's it. And if there's people watching, great. If there's nobody watching, too bad. Okay. I always go down the rabbit hole of characteristics that are unique to the parent. Yeah, that's and we do the same thing here, because obviously the kids are going to be the ones pulling on the parents' dress, saying, "Oh, I want to go play video games." But it's going to be the parents that are going to check into it, the parents that are going to look and see what kind of games you have, the parents that are going to decide, "Ooh, I don't want my kids playing X types of games or whatever." So yes, I agree. Yeah, the kids are the end users and the parents are the buyers. Yeah, same thing with the escape rooms, with the exception of, like the older teenagers here, they decide and they come in. So we do, obviously we can't directly target anybody under 18 anyway, so that makes it a little tougher. And that's the same in most platforms these days. For instance, on Google and on YouTube, you cannot target 14-year-olds or 13-year-olds. You can't do that. Are you targeting 13-year-olds because they're using their parents' computer to get on YouTube? Absolutely. But from an actual raw data standpoint, you can't do that. So, yeah. All right. So once we're done with that, we can move on to next. This is where you would upload your video. And again, we don't have a video to upload right now, but follow what we taught earlier, okay? Or what we showed earlier with all of that information, which I've already turned off, so we don't have it up here anymore. But that will give you all that you need to know. And again, if you're using a professional, they're going to take care of that for you. You don't have to worry too much about that. They're going to take care of all of that for you, okay? Now, once you upload your video, and this here, you can upload vast. This has to do with closed captioning. Don't worry about that right now. It's not something that you're probably going to get into. And then here, right now it says you can see skip for now. But if you uploaded your video, it would submit it, and it would have to be approved. So they would go in, they would look at the video, make sure that it fits everything that they want to do. And you can see here it says missing ad, which we know. And by the way, you'll notice here it says we have at least 3 business days to review your ad before your campaign starts. I've never seen it go 3 days. Whenever I've done it, it's usually later that same day. So don't worry too much about the 3 days thing. So we can look at everything here and review it. You can see our dates are here. So it's going to go through the rest of the 8th, through the 9th, and the beginning of the 10th. It's going to be a budget of $1,500. We're going to get 50,000 target impressions, which dropped because we made some of these things in here. And the cost is going to be about 3 cents per view, which again is really good. Okay. Now you can go in and you can tweak these because, either myself or Tiffany might want to hit more of these areas. We got other cities around here that we may want to reach into. Maybe we want to reach into Social Circle and Covington and who knows what else. So we can put those in there. And the wider we cast that net, the better the pricing will actually be a little bit. So that's just something to think about, because you're limiting yourself in the number of people, and therefore they've got to serve those ads more often, which means they're going to charge. They're not going to serve it as many as they said they would originally when you had a much wider net, and so it's going to cost a little bit more. So if we go back, let's edit this for a second here. Let's add Lawrenceville, Georgia. Okay. Let's just add Atlanta, just for the fun of it. Okay. And we'll even turn off the exclusion to winder. Include them. Hit done. Now we should, in theory, hey, why aren't they listening to me? We should see changes in here, but I'm not seeing a ton of changes. It's gone up a little bit, but not a whole lot. Let's do something drastic to really hopefully get a distance here. Let's put in the entire state, because I want to see a dramatic change in the numbers there. In fact, we'll even, just to make it really dramatic, we'll get rid of everything except the full state itself. And that should, let's hit next and see what that does. We'll even add in the 50 pluses. I'm not seeing any changes here so far. What's going on here? They're making me a liar right now. Let's go to the end. Let's even add a few more genres in here, just for the fun of it. And so far it doesn't seem to be changing anything on us here. I'm not sure why. Let's see, maybe now it'll change it there. Well, for some reason it did not change anything on us. I can guarantee you, I don't know what's going on here with Hulu today, but I can guarantee you making those changes and adding in an extra 4 or 5 million people should have made major changes to this, and it didn't for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just maybe in a matter of time it'll do that. But point is, the wider you cast that net, the more it's going to change here. And by the way, you don't have to go this crazy with things either. If you are, let's say you are an insurance company, you do car insurance, you may not want to target down as much as this. You may not want to choose specific ages, because guess what? Everybody on that list from 18 to over 50 is going to buy car insurance. So you don't need to limit it down there. People that buy shoes are not less likely to buy car insurance than somebody who buys apples. Everybody buys car insurance, especially in this area. So you can do much less targeting if that net needs to be wider like that. And that's perfectly fine, because the beauty of this is even if we were to go back, let's actually get out of this thing totally. Whoops. Let me go back completely here to our campaigns. If we were to go back and create a new campaign, and I don't want to waste too much time by doing this all over again, I'm just going to call it test 2 for the moment. I'm going to do this very, very quickly, but if you were to come in here and let's choose a start date and an end date. Oops. No, give me an end date. Let's go to September 28th, just for the heck of it. Okay. We're going to spend $5,000 for 200,000 impressions. If you are a local business that doesn't require a lot of targeting, if you just choose your areas, like in this case here, let's say that you're going to do all of Georgia. Okay. You're going to target all the people here. You can use Disney. Whoops. You don't need to necessarily go into any of this, because if everybody in the area is your target, you can skip right over that too, and that's going to keep your numbers up. Okay. Now you'll notice here we're getting less than 3 cents per view right now because of that. Okay. It has dropped a little bit because we limited it to Georgia, by the way. And in here, you can choose your genres. But the point being is, you're going to get a different set of numbers because you paid more. That certainly is. That's not really a part of changing that. But the larger area certainly is a part of that, and so that's going to be a big help. Okay. So hopefully this makes sense so far. Everybody understand kind of what we're doing with this? I know we're already pushing up on an hour here and haven't even talked about the actual content yet. But this is how easy it is to set this up. If you've ever done TV advertising in the past, you know you ain't doing it yourself. You could do this at 2 o'clock in the morning and have it going the next day. This is something you can do from home anytime. You want to run ads on cable, you're talking about a process that's going to take who knows how long as they get you your commercial. I mean, you have to have your commercial. That's going to take time, of course. But you're going to be talking about spending a lot of time, a lot of effort, and this here, you're going to be doing it very quickly. This is actually, to me, it is easier to set this up than it is to set up a Google ad. And you can potentially pay less. Because again, if you do that $500, you could spread that $500 over 3 months. They're going to yell at you the whole way that, hey, you're not getting a lot of impressions, but you can do that if you want. So you could, if you got $500 and you spread it over 5 months, it's $100 a month. You're not going to get a whole lot out of that, but well, you will get a lot of that, but it'll be over a longer period of time. You'll still get whether you do a month or you do 3 months or 5 months, you're going to get the exact same result. It's just that result's going to be way slower, but you're going to get the same number of impressions the entire time. So that's what you're paying for, which is good. You're paying for the impressions based upon the settings that you set up for the demographics, and then how long you want those impressions to be spread out is your choice. They obviously want to make money, so they're going to tell you to spend more, but they also want you to spend more because they don't want you to spread it out so thin that you don't see results and give up. Because that's the other thing too, is if you're only showing the ad to 5 people a day, you may not see any results anytime soon. If you're sending it out to 500 people a day, you may see results pretty quickly. And I can tell you, I can testify on this myself because, as I said, here at the Escape Room, we actually ran these ads on Hulu and had people walk in and they say, oh yeah, we saw your ad on TV, ha ha ha. And a friend of mine that we work with who's just up the road here, he gets it all the time. In fact, one of his ads had if you've been with us before on these things, we've done these trainings, we've used some of his stuff as an example, but he had a jingle on his, and people would come in and be like, oh, and they'd sing his jingle to him and talk about the jingle. So it can be very effective. People will notice these things. Now, the last thing I want to kind of jump into on here is something that is a little bit, something you're going to deal with is getting the actual ad. And in order to do that, you're going to need to have an ad produced of some kind. Now, again, Hulu is not, it's not NBC. You don't need to have a multi-million-dollar ad that you've created. It's unnecessary. But you want to have something decent. You want to have something that reflects well. But here's a couple of tips that I want you to think about when you're doing this. And if you've got a pen and paper, kind of write some of these things down because this is important for that. A local business does not want to follow the lead of Apple, Coca-Cola, Ford, Pepsi, any of those types of things, because those guys have already spent millions and probably even, who knows, in the billions at this point in time, advertising to get you to know who they are. When an Apple commercial comes on, yeah, at the end they'll pop up that little apple at the end usually, but you know what it is the second it comes on, right? You know it's an Apple commercial. You know the look, you know the product. So they're not trying to teach you what Apple is and what they do. You know who Apple is and you know what they do. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get in your head and stay in there, and so that when you go to buy your next phone or your next computer, that you buy it from them. Ford is trying to get you to, remember, oh yeah, I was going to get a new car next month. Is it the Mustang or the Corvette or the Camaro? Oh yeah, I saw that commercial. Ford's trying to get in your head and remind you, yeah, it's the Mustang that you want to buy, not the Camaro. Same thing with Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola has done tests where they've cut down their advertising, and they've seen where their sales go down and people start spending with other companies. So they advertise. I mean, Coke is number one. Everyone knows what Coke is, and yet they still spend millions and millions and millions advertising because the minute they stop, they know that their numbers go down. And Dr. Pepper's trying to catch them right now. In case you didn't know, Dr. Pepper surpassed Pepsi now and is the number 2 soft drink. So they're trying to catch up to Coca-Cola. They're still way behind, but they're trying to catch up. They've got to keep advertising, Coca does, to keep that lead and keep people buying. And they do see the difference there. But those guys are going to do fun commercials. They're going to do commercials where they're not really talking about the product. You, as a local business owner, you need to really start to do advertising that sells your business directly. Okay, so in the case of like Controller Game Lounge, we don't need some sort of clever advertisement where people are dancing and doing things like that. Now, you could have that. I'm not saying you couldn't have that, but you need to make sure that people know who you are. So your logo, your name, your address, the phone number to call, the website is there. Beginning, end, even in the middle, maybe at the bottom of the screen the whole time, so that people know who you are. Because if they see an Apple commercial just out of the corner of your eye, at the end it's like, oh yeah, I wanted to get a new phone. You know how to get the new phone. If they are catching you in this ad running in the background there, they may not know what Controller Game Lounge is. They may not know what Impossible Escape is. They won't know what the phone number or the address or the website are. So those things have to be there to make sure that you get everything that you need, okay, out to those people. So make sure that you are very direct with that. Name, address, phone number, website, tell them how you want them to contact you. Visit us today at, call us now, book now at this link, whatever it happens to be. Make sure you're telling them exactly what they need to do, because that's going to be the most important thing for you. Okay? And if you got any questions on that, throw that out there. But so for instance, going back to, if we were creating a video for Controller Game Lounge, yes, we want to show the video games. We want to show kids having fun, but we want to have a lot of information in there. Again, the contact information, and then right in front of their eyes, boom, we've got Super Nintendo, we've got, boy, am I aging myself there? We've got Xbox One, we've got, Xbox Zero, we got PlayStation 5, we got PlayStation 4, we got the latest Call of Duty game. Get those things into those commercials. We do parties. It's got to be, think of your website. What would your website have? It would have all that information, and you got to figure out a way to get that information into a TV commercial in 15 or 30 seconds without driving people into a crazed mental state with all the information on there. So you got to figure out how to do that, because this is your chance to get them the information that they need. So make sure that you forget all the clever things that some of these big companies are doing, because your job in these commercials is to get people to know all your information. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, hey, look at that. We are exactly at 1 o'clock. I thought for sure we would blow past that when I started talking about this, but we are at exactly 1 o'clock. So I'm going to ask if you guys have any questions to throw them out there, and we'll be glad to answer those questions. So, and by the way, thank you for those that have hit that little heart button there. I've seen that a few times. If you could also hit like on this and subscribe, you will get notified as we put out new content. So we always are grateful for that. But throw your questions out there now if you've got any. I know I'm a fantastic teacher, so maybe you don't have questions after all that. But throw them out there, and if not, we'll get out of here for the rest of the day. Boy, every time I go back to the camera, the internet seems to be struggling with showing that, so I apologize if it's looking a little stuttery, or at least something with maybe the camera is having issues. For those of you who don't know, just fun while we look for any questions. I got this new camera here. It's a high data camera, so I have a feeling it's not my internet connection. I think the camera itself is not sending the data cleanly, so I may have to work on some of that. Great presentation. Thanks, so valuable. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And we're glad to do this. And again, we do this every single week. We have for the last 4 weeks now. We're going strong. We're going to keep trying to do this every week, and hopefully we continue to get more and more people to come and join us. I know I mentioned before, I'm going to try to get guests on here. I've got a couple of people that I'm trying to line up to have on here, but some of the topics we're going to be talking about in the near future is we're going to get back into YouTube with some interesting things with a good friend of mine. We're going to be talking about business financing. So we're going to have somebody on that's going to talk about how do you get financing. You've got a business, you're doing all these things, but you need to buy new equipment. You're a dentist and you need the tooth extractor 834B, and it costs $10,000. Where are you going to get that money from? We're going to talk about that kind of thing. We're going to have financing on here. We're going to talk about more about Google business profiles. We're going to talk more about social media. We're going to talk about the things that you want. So if you want something to be said, make sure you go to the actual Facebook group. And on there, you can certainly ask for us to talk about certain topics. And we would love for that to happen. And you can see I'm kind of stalling here as I pull the link for the group. So give me 1 second there as I grab that. But yeah, be sure to go there. Ask for what you want to have seen. If you want something specific, if you want to learn about how to create a funnel, we're going to have somebody on that's going to be talking all about amazing funnel stuff that we can do. And funnels are huge for any business. It doesn't matter if you are selling products online or if you're a dentist. It can be very, very useful for this. So let me post this here. Let me see. Do you have an email list? Yes, I do. Who's that there? So I think it says, oh, okay, yes, okay. Yes, we do have an email list. What I can do, I'm trying to think if there's a simple way to get on that list. If you want to reach out to me afterwards, I can get you on that, because we put out, every week we put out not only the link to the live, but we also put out any products that we're currently working with. We put out websites that we come across that are useful. So reach out to me afterwards and I'll make sure that you get on that. Okay. All right. Doesn't look like we have any other questions going on there. So with that, I think we'll call it quits for today. We will be back next week. I don't have the actual topic right now, and the reason is because I'm working with somebody to try to get them on. So we'll see if that happens, but plenty of topics coming up. The funnel one is going to be huge. You're really going to love that one. Like I said, even if you're Controller Game Lounge, you may not think you need funnels and things, but I guarantee you're going to find out that funnels will be huge for a business like that. A dentist, a lawyer, a doctor, it doesn't matter. Funnels are going to be big. And if you're an online marketing salesperson, it's going to be huge for you there too. So, all right, guys, wish you all the best of the luck throughout the week. Be sure to go to the Main Street Business Strategies group. Let us know what you thought, what we could do better, what you liked, what you didn't like. And yeah, Tiffany says, we totally need that one. Yeah, and the best part is, Tiffany, when we show you this, it's so easy. It's so easy a caveman could do it, to steal a line from Geico. So you'll be impressed with it. It blows me away how fast you can build things. And anyway, I'll leave it at that. That may even be next week if I can get my guests that I want to get next week. So we'll see. They are on the West Coast, so sometimes it's tough for them. But all right, guys, again, have a good week. Go to the group. Let us know what you think. And we'll see you guys next time. Oh, wait, let me play my music. I almost shut things down without the music. So here we go. Tim McMorris, here we go.
The sun shines bright as it moves across my face. I feel the light and everything is in its place. Oh, I woke up feeling great. Today was made for me, and life is good the way it should, the way it was meant to be. And it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. The wind is blowing, the bells are ringing, children playing in the park while birds are singing. I am walking, and I am laughing, Life is perfect, I'm not trying, it's just happening.